Happy has just released Arc 7 Chapter 88, and this video will be a summary of the chapter. Highly recommend you check out my Arc 7 Chapter 87 summary. Anyways, let's begin. The battle in the capital city escalated, and neither side would give an inch. There's no reason for Emilia to be in the middle of a battle between the rebels who are dissatisfied with the Emperor and the defenders who are protecting the Emperor. Emilia's party originally came to Wallachia to look for someone. Emilia's camp has people who act on rational judgment, such as Otto and Petra. However, there are others, such as Garfiel and Emilia, who will help others based on emotion, because that's what's right. The reason why Emilia helped in Guaral was because it was being attacked, and helping the people of Guaral stave off the flying dragon attack was the right thing to do. However, now their path was clear. Abel looks over some maps and he points to a location, stating that this location is likely where Madeline is located, referring to the Prime Minister's estate. The time changes to a few days before the attack on the Imperial capital. Subaru's location was unknown, however Rem was taken by someone who was known to Abel, meaning Abel could provide insight that the Emilia camp was unaware of. Abel states that Madeline would be with the Prime Minister, which makes Emilia ponder, since that means that Rem would be there also, since Madeline was the person who took Rem away. Medium jumps in, stating that if Rem is there, they need to go. After all, Medium's brother Flop was also taken, and should also be there as well. Emilia looks at Medium's declaration. Despite her brother being taken away, Medium doesn't show weakness. It's something that Emilia should potentially learn from Medium as a skill. We see that Petra squares off against Abel, and Petra asks about the Prime Minister and the location of the Prime Minister. Abel says that he doesn't have time to answer a child. However, Petra doesn't back down and asks that surely the Prime Minister would live in the Imperial capital if he's an important person. Abel then confirms Petra's statement that Madeline, Flop and Rem will be with the Prime Minister in the Imperial capital. Petra thinks that the situation is a setup, and Emilia is confused. Petra talks about how their original goal was to secure Subaru and Rem, and now they need to go all the way to the heart of Wallachia. We see that Abel was hiding this information about the capital from Emilia and the rest of the group, and when Petra pointed this out, Abel states that he doesn't have to explain things. However, Emilia says that if Abel wants to fight, then he should say please and ask for help, since Emilia and the rest of the group are strong. Similarities between Abel and Roswell are brought up. Abel is similar in that he's someone that doesn't want to bring up topics on his own. After all, if he does, then it will be like he is weak, because it seems like he's asking for a favor. So if you want to get Abel to talk, you have to make him talk about the topic by bringing it up, similar to what Petra did. That way it doesn't come across as Abel asking for a favor. We see Otto and Garfiel enter where Emilia, Abel and Petra are. Otto guesses that Emilia and Petra were discussing the location of Rem, who was taken by Madeline, and surmised that she's at the Imperial capital, which causes Emilia to ask if Otto was eavesdropping on their conversation. However, Otto just said that he's been speaking to the people from Chaos Flame and to various people and learned of the rebellion, and therefore was able to piece together the information. We also see that the group had been helping out with the repairs of Guaral, and Emilia, for example, would be freezing objects in pillars of ice to hold things together for other people to repair. Despite Otto's normal demeanor, Emilia felt like Otto had hidden anger deep inside. Otto then asks Abel how far he's gone to get what he wants. Abel is silent and just watches. Abel's demeanor never changes. He never changes his stance, he never really blinks. However, Otto asks the same question again. Otto had determined that his side has lost, and Abel says that it's all a matter of luck. The entire party is confused, and Otto explains the situation. Abel created the rumor of the illegitimate son of the Emperor, which is Subaru, who has been infantilized by Obart, meaning that Subaru would be safe from the members of Valakia, whether they are part of the Emperor's side or the rebellion. However, that wasn't 100% true. Otto then explains that how would you determine if the illegitimate child of the Emperor was real or fake? Well, you would take them to the Emperor to have an inspection, and Otto explains that those children who fit the small criteria, therefore having black hair and black eye, which is of course what Subaru has, they will be taken to a certain location to be seen if they're real or not, and that is of course to the Emperor, which is in the Imperial capital, meaning that Subaru is most likely in the Imperial capital, and Rem is also in the Imperial capital, and so Otto is of course saying that Abel planned all of this all along to get both Rem and Subaru in the same location, which is the Imperial capital. Petra is angry at Abel, however Abel shrugs it off and makes fun of Petra by stating the events which led to everything, and how Rem and Subaru ended up at the capital, stating he must have been real busy to make everything align in that way. He was trying to poke fun at Petra, which caused Emilia to stand in front of Petra and tell Abel to not do it again. Abel then asks Emilia what would happen if he does do it again, and Emilia says she will pay him back for what he has said, meaning violence. After all, Emilia doesn't like resorting to violence, but she will defend those who are her friends. With that, the group then decide on what to do, and Emilia summarizes the situation, that Abel planned for Subaru to be taken to the capital. However, what Abel didn't plan for was the arrival of Emilia and the rest of the group. Emilia thinks through Abel's thought process and tries to work out why Abel lied about Subaru being the legitimate son of the Emperor. Of course, it was to spur the rebellion, but it was also to increase his safety and ensure that he would be taken to the Imperial capital. Either way, Emilia decides that the fight should be taken to the Imperial capital. After all, Rem and Subaru were likely there. The scene changes. The first thing that comes to mind is that the both of them are present. They didn't know how far Abel had calculated the board. Otto says to not worry about Abel and to just trust in his calculations. They also discuss Roswell's whereabouts being with Selena Dracoi, someone who's also going to rebel. Emilia also wants to get involved in the war to prevent deaths, however Otto is of course against it. Their mission is to save Rem and Subaru. It doesn't matter if they save 1,000 lives. If Subaru and Rem die, then they fail their mission. If everyone dies and they save Rem and Subaru, their mission is a success. However, despite that, Emilia is stubborn, and she stated that she will do her best regardless, meaning that they will put a dent in the war effort and they will fight in the war. The scene changes again, and we see that the air gets colder. Emilia sees many types of demi-humans and tells them to move away. However, someone calls Emilia and says, "It's you again." This person is Madeline. We see Madeline is holding her weapon and getting ready for battle. Emilia says hello and she introduces herself and mentions how Madeline said before that they couldn't beat the dragon. This makes Madeline mad, and Madeline goes to attack Emilia. However, Emilia throws an ice block larger than the city hall at Madeline, and with that the battle between Emilia and Madeline began with a roar, and the chapter ends. So it looks like we're getting to the sort of fighting sequence where we have our 5 pillars, and it's sort of like a shonen trope where 5 heroes will fight the 5 villains, and the 5 heroes will beat the 5 pillars, and so on and so forth. You get the gist. Obviously, I still think Julius will arrive. I don't think Madeline will fully lose here. I feel like Julius will arrive and take over the fight or something, and Emilia will do that thing where, like the person, Julius comes and it's like, "I'll take on this fight, you run ahead and stop the big bad guy," and Emilia's like, running ahead, looking back at Julius. "Make sure you win the fight, Julius!" That typical shonen trope pretty much happens in every single anime. I remember it happening in like Bleach and stuff. But yeah, decent chapter. So again, it seems like Abel sort of planned everything, per usual, to get both Rem and Subaru in the Imperial capital. And of course, this is all aligning with the rebellion being at the Imperial capital as well. So it seems like Abel is still playing 5D chess. So, interesting chapter.